Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are taking a fascinating and honestly a pretty deeply unsettling look at the psychology of fear in liminal spaces. We're going to break down the anatomy of hotel horror by looking at 4 absolutely terrifying, true hotel encounters. You know, a hotel room is sold to us as this temporary home, right? A private sanctuary secured by a heavy door and a deadbolt. But what happens when that illusion of isolation is completely shattered? Well, we are going to dive into exactly how these vulnerabilities get exploited using some truly chilling accounts.
Who is that? And a deep voice calmly replies, "It's housekeeping. Sorry, I'll leave now." Just let those words sit in silence for a second. Imagine waking up at 2:15 in the morning. The room is mostly dark. You've just got that faint glow from the TV. You hear some rustling, and as your eyes adjust, you see this strange, shadowy mass literally hovering over your bags in the corner of your room. You manage to push out the words, "Who is that?" And the guy just replies that it's housekeeping? At 2:15 a.m.? This isn't a movie script, guys. This is a real security breach that we are going to dissect today.
So let's dive into this wild contrast between what we expect a safe sanctuary to be and the terrifying reality of these environments. We all expect locked doors, chained latches, and absolute privacy, for sure. But the reality drawn from the sources we're looking at today, it includes broken window latches, stolen master keys, and completely compromised physical spaces. The architecture of safety is actually incredibly fragile.
All right, threat 1, the unseen watcher. This first category completely shatters that illusion of solitude. We're talking about the psychological terror of an intruder tracking your every move, from inside the walls or just outside your door. It's that horrible realization that you are not alone and someone is playing a really disturbing game of cat and mouse with you. Just look at this methodical escalation of terror. In an incident in a small Pennsylvania city, a guest checked into a cheap hotel. Right at midnight, a folded piece of paper with uneven handwriting slid under the door, basically saying someone was watching them. Then, 20 minutes later, at 12:20 a.m., a second note appears. This one claims the watcher had already been inside the room earlier that day, and honestly, just liked watching people sleep. It's a targeted, deliberate escalation designed to make you panic.
Then, things peak at 1 a.m. with a third note, and this one slid under the door even slower, almost like they wanted to make sure the guest heard it. It contained this totally chilling realization: the person was already inside the room with me. Talk about the ultimate psychological blow, right? It forced the victim into a frantic, immediate escape down the hallway, where they actually spotted a shadow retreating near the last room. And the crazy postscript to all this? When the front desk checked the room, they found a recently broken window latch. The watcher hadn't just been outside, they had a dedicated way in.
Now, over in New Jersey, a traveler experienced a really similar unseen violation. They check in, take a shower, and notice the room just feels colder. They go to sleep, but wake up past midnight to a soft sliding noise and the sound of heavy, slow breathing coming right from the corner. The guest sits up and realizes that the closet door, which they specifically remember leaving wide open, was now slightly closed. Somebody had to have moved it. So smartly, the guest demands a new room down the hall. But the terror literally just follows them. At 1 a.m., a housekeeping cart squeaks down the hallway and stops right at their new door. Then comes that exact same heavy, slow breathing from the other side of the wood. Finally, instead of a knock, a soft palm just presses against the door, just feeling the wood. It is a wildly disturbing display of psychological intimidation.
And here is the crucial, chilling morning reveal. When the sun finally comes up, the guests go straight to the front desk to report the rogue housekeeper pushing the cart. The morning staff member looks super confused and drops this bomb: "We have not had a housekeeper on staff for the last week." The previous night worker had just stopped coming in, but she still had her keys. So who on earth was pushing that cart, and who had been hiding in that first room's closet just waiting for the guest to fall asleep?
Which brings us to a pretty terrifying transition. The unseen watcher relies on stealth, right? Hiding in closets, slipping through broken windows. But what happens when the intruder isn't sneaking around, but instead, they just have the key? How do you possibly protect yourself when the physical locks meant to keep you safe are the exact tools being used against you? Let's move to threat 2, the inside job. This is really the ultimate betrayal of trust and hotel security infrastructure. It's what happens when the perimeter isn't breached, but completely bypassed. In a Virginia hotel, a guest checked in and noticed some subtle weirdness: a tilted lamp, an open drawer, a wrinkled blanket. Then, at midnight, they wake up to the sound of metal scraping. Someone is literally sliding a key into their lock, but the door doesn't open right away. Then, just like we talked about at the very beginning of this explainer, at 2:15 a.m., the guest wakes up to rustling and finds a shadow figure going through their luggage, claiming to be housekeeping.
The really scary reality wasn't that a staff member made a scheduling mistake. When the police forced the front desk to pull the security cameras, the footage showed a large man acting super suspicious. He was walking down the halls, testing multiple doors, and finally just letting himself right into the victim's room. The desk worker admitted the man didn't work there at all. He had somehow gotten his hands on a stolen hotel master key. Every chain, every deadbolt, totally useless in a matter of seconds.
Now, we can rationalize a human stalker hiding in a closet. We can understand the mechanical failure of a stolen master key or a broken window latch. But our next account forces us to confront something completely different. What happens when the threat defies all logical and human explanation?
Let's examine threat 3, the unexplained. This flips our perspective from a vulnerable guest to a hotel employee. Specifically, a maintenance worker doing a dead Wednesday night shift back in the summer of 2023. They had the master keys, they knew the building inside and out, and yet they ran into something that completely broke the rules of reality.
First off, while the employee is in a locked, completely empty pool area just grabbing some towels, they hear a loud splash. They look over and find a lifesaver floating in the water, which is physically impossible without someone actually throwing it. Later that night, they go to repair a toilet in room 324, which was confirmed to be totally vacant. While they're working, they get hit with this instantaneous, freezing chill in the air, followed by an audibly loud thump coming from the main bedroom area just outside the bathroom.
Keep in mind, this is a warm summer night with absolutely no air conditioning running anywhere. But the employee notices the room's thermostat had inexplicably plummeted to 68 degrees Fahrenheit right as that chill hit. This physical drop in temperature happened right before the haunting climax of the night.
When the employee steps out of the bathroom to check on that loud thump, they don't see a guest. Standing next to the dangling room phone is this towering silhouette completely devoid of any human features. The source actually described it beautifully, saying it looked exactly like a locked fighting game character outline, just pure impenetrable blackness in the dim room. It stood completely silent, and then a single limb moved. And that one movement was enough to make the employee sprint out the door and immediately clock out for the night.
Bringing us to our final section, surviving the night shift. Because whether you are facing a human stalker sliding notes under your door, a criminal exploiting a master key breach, or some unseen, unexplained entity dropping temperatures, these accounts really give us a masterclass in vigilance. Let's look at how to process and survive these things. When we catalog these incidents, you'll see the breaches vary wildly, but there's a definite pattern. Notice the chilling clue involved in each one. Before the main threat ever actually presents itself, it leaves behind a subtle clue that the illusion of safety has been shattered. A wrinkled blanket, a closed closet door, a sudden temperature drop, a scraping sound. Spotting these micro-anomalies is absolutely crucial to identifying a compromised space before it's too late.
And when you do realize a space is compromised, the common thread in surviving is decisive action. Step 1, verify the threat securely, like by checking the peephole. Step 2, grab only your essentials, like your bag and your keys. Step 3, evacuate immediately. In none of our source stories did the victim try to fight or stick around to bargain. They recognized the environment was compromised and they got out without hesitation.
So I want to leave you with this final thought for this explainer. We put so much faith in the click of a deadbolt and the swing of a chain latch. But when you check into a hotel tonight, take a second. Look at the closet, check the window latch, listen to the vents. Who else is checking in with you? And more importantly, is the threat outside or is it already inside the room with you? Thanks for hanging out for this deep dive, and please, stay safe out there.